And we're back for another episode of the Unpro Pro Rugby Show. Obviously, I'm joined again by my sexy man, my sexy pom, Mike, with I think he's jumped on the bandwagon of just wearing a jumper now as well. I think for every episode, are you just going to wear that same jumper?
Well, what was your deal last week? You said you're going to wear that
until the All Blacks, until the Springboks lose the World Cup, lose the World Cup. Yeah. Because we're going back to back.
I haven't got a deal behind mine, but I'll wear it until, put it this way, I'll keep wearing it until England beat South Africa next.
Ooh, okay. I like that.
Could be a while.
Yeah. Hopefully they play each other in the World Cup again.
No, let's hope.
How's your weekend? Good?
Good, mate. Yeah, good. Just got away for a couple of days and just had a bit of me time and just did some research on the rugby coming up. We're going to talk about today and just chilled out, mate. It was good. What about you?
Good, same. Well, I had my first game back after MCL injury, and what was it? So it was 6 or 7 weeks out, and that went well. I tested it very early, 2 minutes in, fucking length of the field intercept. I'm not one to brag, but it was pretty fucking good.
All about the it, mate. You got to take it when they're there. You got to take
it. That's it. We'll get into a bit of Hunter Rugby, but I want to start this off with a new segment. All right. Well, firstly, big shout out, thank you to everyone that watches, listens, all the subscribers, views. It's been really awesome. We love to hear your feedback. So please like, subscribe, message us on Instagram, Provs Kicking Clinic, or at @tup_rugby. That's TUPP_rugby. Share the podcast, share the whatever. We love to hear you guys' feedback. And it's been awesome. It's been pretty cool to hear all the feedback. We're going to get into a new segment. Okay. The segment's name is Play On or Knock On. All right. So it's pretty basic. Okay. So it's either play on as in yes, you would go for it, or knock on as in, oh, I don't know about that. And this can be anything related, Mike. So next week, this is on you. This segment will be on you. So I've taken it for this week. So you'll just say whether play on or knock on. Okay. So I got my first bit is making eye contact with someone when eating a banana in public.
Mate, you got to knock that on. Mate, we're pulling up stumps there for sure. Look, I'll probably only eat bananas inside my own home, to be honest. I'm not a big one to be eating that sort of fruit in front of people, to be honest. But yeah, definitely. It shouldn't be though.
Even if you're watching someone eat it, so you don't even have to be the one eating it. If you make eye contact with someone eating a banana, it's
mate. You know when you're like, oh, that person's eating a banana, I won't look at them, and then you look away, and then you look back up, and you make eye contact back, and you're like, gosh, and then it's just awkward from that point on. Yeah. It shouldn't be awkward, but mate, I'm knocking that on, mate. We've got to blow the whistle there, pull it up.
All right, next one. Okay, and I need to go to the photo here. And I've seen this because I follow quite a few pages on Twitter, and sometimes they come up with great stuff. In Indonesia, there's a tribe that digs up their dead relatives once a year to dress them up and party with them in an annual celebration of their lives. Play on or knock on.
Can I just process that for a second, mate? I'm all for. I'm all for.
I don't know if you can see, and I'll put it on. You probably can't see, it's blurring out.
Oh, I got a glimpse.
I'll put it up. So they've dressed them up. They've flowers, hats on, glasses, and it's it's dead people. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I don't know how long people last for under the ground before they start falling apart. But knock it on, pull it up. That's I'm all for people's cultures and stuff. That's a little bit out there.
That is a bit strange.
Yeah, it is very strange. I don't know where you pulled that from. That is mental.
That's what I say. Twitter is great.
Yeah.
Like that. So I'm sitting this segment's benchmark pretty high, I feel like.
Yeah.
Thanks, and then the last one, and this is a rugby one. Our dear friends at The Good, The Bad, The Rugby Australia. So we've got Matt Giddo, Drew Mitchell, and Adam Ashley Cooper put on the boots for a charity game in 4th grade in Canberra. If you're the opposition fly off, so they play 10, 12, 13.
Oh my gosh.
Are you playing on, or are you knocking them?
Mate, I'm playing on for the experience. I'm knocking it on for the absolute obliteration of the scoreboard. I can sort of relate to this. I played a game against Bath. I don't know if you know, Bath are a UK side, an English side. And we played against their second teammate, and for some reason, majority of their first team were injured and they were coming back from injury. I remember warming up on the pitch opposite, running out onto the rec at Bath and looking across and going, holy, like there was internationals playing. And I'm thinking, we got pumped. I think it was like 52-3. I kicked the penalty, but the experience, great.
Right.
Scoreline, not so great. So I don't know. I'm a bit torn there, mate. I'd knock on and play on at the same time.
At the same time, I don't know if we can. I don't know if that's part of the. Just play out, play out.
All right, listen, let's play on. Let's play on. Play on. This good experience.
We gotta pick one to play on there. Lovely. So that's the segment of play on or knock on. So I'll pass that over to you for next week. Yeah.
Great segment. Yeah, I'm all over that. I'm all over it.
Anyone like comments in the YouTube comments, let us know if you would play. I mean, I think the only one there is the eating the banana one is, I think that divides some people. It's almost like the pineapple on pizza. Is that a play on or knock on? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But, that's an awkward one.
Anyway, so moving on, because we are a rugby podcast, so we do want to talk about rugby stuff, but it's also good to throw in a bit of what's happening. So play on or knock on. Yep, that'll be the segment going forward.
Wicked.
Next, and I'm going to pass this baton over to you, Mike, because I am playing again, and this is hopefully we win this year, so it is the last year of me playing with the boots on, and then it's heating up, so it's almost finals. We've got 2 more rounds left of the normal season, and then it's into finals. So I'll pass. This is obviously the Hunter Rugby comp. I'll pass the baton over to you.
Well, first of all, mate, I commend you on playing at your age still against some of these kids that are playing. It's one of my questions actually, so we'll get into the questions so I don't ruin them. First thing, mate, I want to touch on is the 6-team comp.
Yep.
I was unaware of this actually, but you made me aware of it, and you play every team 3 times. I just wanted to ask you, when I was playing, you play a team at the beginning of the season, you suss them out, and then you play them again, and you know their strengths and their weaknesses. But obviously, then you've got that home ground, away ground advantage, disadvantage. How have you found playing the same team 3 times in a year?
So, firstly, I was like, it hit me and it's like, oh, we've just played this team, and it's like, oh, fucking hell, I've got to play you twice again. But then it's like, you can't, like you say there, you're sussing them out. You're seeing where their weaknesses and strengths are, but they're also doing that to you. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there.
Yeah.
It's fun. I've actually enjoyed. I feel like the intensity of the games. There's no easy games anymore. I mean, Southern Beaches they've been getting 50 points put on them each week.
Yeah.
And you might not believe me when I say this, but it's been hard games to play. So they always, the first time we played them, they scored 2 tries straight off the bat. So we were 14-0 down. It's like, oh shit, normal teams are pumping them. And the week before that, they had beaten Hamilton, who Hamilton are coming off the back of winning 6 comps in a row. Obviously COVID and players moving on has been a big impact there. Yeah. But in saying that, I feel like it has, like it strengthened the comp in a way. You obviously hate to see clubs dropping out. That's not what you want. I mean, rugby as a whole, that's not good for rugby. But it has. So then obviously those clubs that have dropped out or dropped down to a lower division, you've gotten guys that want to stay up in the Premier grade, move then to other clubs, which then obviously makes those other clubs stronger, which then then in turn makes second grade stronger and third grade stronger. So in that regard, it's been good, man. I miss and sorry, I don't mean to say it like that or mean it in any way to any Singleton fans out there. I miss a 60-point game out at Singleton, because you're getting your 5 points, where every week this week it's tough, man. It's been tough. So that in that regard, it's been good. In going back to what you asked, I think it works both ways. Like, you're working out their strengths, other teams' strengths and weaknesses, because you play them 3 times, but they're in turn working yours out. So for me, it's been like a battle in my head. It's like, okay, they won the first round, we won the second round. It's like the third round. Okay, who's going to be the better of the 3?
Like the best of 3. If you get one. I didn't think of it like that, but it's definitely changed since I was playing in the Newcastle comp. Like you said, some teams have dropped out. I used to hate that trip to Singleton, mate. They're built different up there, mate. Anyway, I've got some bad memories from Singleton. We won't touch on that. Mate, second question, in terms of you still playing, this being your final season, you've been playing for a few years. The most hostile ground, and I know we don't have huge grounds in Newcastle, but in terms of supporters, the team themselves, maybe the coach, what's one team that you don't enjoy? Obviously, you played at Hamilton, but what's one team that you just don't like playing against because of their supporters or their players or just how they play? Is there any team in particular that you don't like?
Yeah, and they're in the divisional comp now. And I used to
Yeah,
love the trip out to Nelson Bay because we'd always get the bus back. But man, playing out at Nelson Bay, you're either it's a tough game. Firstly,
yeah,
tough game. Secondly, that corner where all the old boys stand or right next to
yeah,
their clubhouse.
yeah,
Man, if you get a line out there, I feel so sorry for the hookers or lining up a kick there. It's
yeah.
just, man, they just into you. And thirdly, I don't think I've ever played there where the weather's been good. It's like it's equivalent to playing away at Stoke. What do they say? Can you do it away at a Stoke? It's
Yeah,
the term
yeah.
here is can you do it away at Nelson Bay?
Nelson
Like
Bay.
literally. So I think if you put
Yeah.
all of those together, it's playing away at Nelson Bay. It's never been.
It's funny you should say that because that was my team for a number of
Yeah,
years, and you'd speak to players after and they'd say it. Like when I was playing, we used to get thumped quite on the regular. But players would say we hate coming up here because it's always physical, it's always tough, and exactly what you just said down in that corner.
yeah,
If I used to kick the ball into that corner, that's where we wanted to be. The forward to be like, put us down in that corner and let them hear us, sort of thing. So
100%.
that's interesting. I was actually expecting you to say Hamilton, but there you go.
No, well, Hamilton. The thing with Hamilton is the crowd is kind of far back from the field.
Yeah,
Like Maitland again is another one. The crowd's kind of their stand is right on the field, and then they
yeah,
always got like these bratty, ratty kids, 12, 13-year-olds on the other side of the field. And mate,
yeah.
they've started to get personal with their slurs as well.
Wow.
They
Yeah,
just
yeah,
climb into you, man. And I love a slur, man. Give it like go for your
yeah.
life. Because again, on the weekend that we played Merriweather, now on the weekend that passed, I just, when you, as a kicker, you feel like, man, everything you feel is just happening. It's on. You're on today. So I didn't
Yeah.
care I was like, give, give. I hit
Bring it.
both from the side, both sides over,
Yeah.
and each time turned around and just looked at the crowd, and they
Amazing.
love it as well. And I think it's a thing where it's like, man, it's only amateur footy. Like you still have to
Yeah.
enjoy it. So if you're gonna give me stick and I'm gonna kick it over, I'm gonna stand there and laugh with you because
100%. That's
yeah,
what we dream of as kickers, right?
yeah,
Getting absolute banter from behind and then just slotting it over.
yeah.
And mate, you've already touched on it, but you're rolling back the years on the weekend, mate, with a length for the field intercept. How's the body feeling? And I want to refer back to what I've just started at the start. Sorry, these kids getting bigger, stronger, faster at such a young age. Like they're so physical. How are you finding at the age you're at playing against these kids? Like, are you pulling up okay? Are you extra sore? Are you finding these kids are getting bigger and stronger and more physical?
They definitely are getting, I think, faster and
Yeah,
yes, and stronger because I mean the guys are getting in the gym a lot sooner and are getting better. I think training in the gym because getting in the gym
yeah,
is one thing, but then doing the right things is a total
of
different thing.
course.
I think
Yeah,
lots of guys are more exposed to trainers and maybe even to stuff on Instagram, at least getting
yeah,
some sort of blueprint on what to do in the gym. Um, in saying that, like I I'm getting that as well. Like
yeah,
age has always been like yes, I'm 31 this year, but I've adjusted like throughout the years learned so many things and how to recover, how to
yeah.
train leading up to a game, and I just don't stop. If that makes
Yeah.
sense, just hold on. Just had a little guest here. Slater's coming to say
Visitor.
hello. Just wait, Slater. And I think the not stopping for me is the biggest thing. So
Yeah,
I just keep training, and that helps a lot for me.
yeah,
Uh, so with hurting, not really,
yeah.
not really. Just hold on. We'll just pause here for a second, guys. Later, go. Thank you. I'll clip that out.
You're right. All good. All good.
um, but no, I think fine. Like and it's almost I refer it almost to being to having a hangover. The day
Mm.
after, not so bad. The second day, very sore, very sore. But
Yeah,
I just feel like I need to then get the body moving again, and it
yeah.
kind of works. That works out for me.
I,
So
I
yeah,
think I think you're right. I think the progression and all that sort of thing around rugby specific weight training and things like that has really helped these younger players. We had it, but did we have it to that degree, no. And I think that's why these kids are getting bigger, stronger, and more powerful.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, that's mate. They're my 3 questions for the Hunter Rugby section. So, but mate, it's interesting to hear your point of view. You're only 31.
Yeah.
You're coming up to 31. To hear it from your perspective, mate, it's I've got a lot of respect for you continuing to play. You got kids as well, as we can see, and
As you can see.
they take up a lot of your time. But yeah, it's interesting to hear your point of view at the stage of life you're at and the stage of your career as well.
I also think it's just Slater. Hold on, sorry guys. Slater, just go quick to mom. With age comes knowledge.
Yeah.
So I think as well that I use that in a game as well. Like I won't, if I can get someone else to make a tackle, I'll do that.
Of course.
I always say that the smartest defenders, a good defender, is one that doesn't make a tackle. And that
I used to do
sense,
that.
But
being quite small, I'd swap. Me and my best mate Sam used to play at 12. We'd swap at scrum time, so the 8 was running into him rather than me. Not that I didn't like tackling, but I'd rather not tackle, and he loved tackling. So like, you go in at 10, you can tackle this massive 8 that's running towards you, and for me, I was sort of, I guess, protected a little bit, which was always nice.
Yeah, for sure. But I do have a bit of advice and something my dad told me also, because I was never a big player, and I'd always play in that channel either 10 or 12. And then other teams would always pick me out, which naturally you'd pick up the smaller guy. And dad always told me, if someone is going to run at you, that first tackle just has to be a big one. You have to tackle him. Otherwise, they're just going to run at you every time.
All day. I've done that in a cup final. It's the same thing. I always knew, not necessarily a big tackle for me, but make the tackle. Cup final, up in Wolverhampton in England, I kicked off. It went too deep. This massive, massive number 8 got it, ran straight at me. I just flopped at this tackle. And I was like, that's my day. I've just set the tone. They're going to run. And they did. They ran at me all day. Yeah, I made my tackles after that, but man, it was a long afternoon.
Yep, exactly. So I always got that in my head as my dad's voice saying, if someone's going to run at you, it's like, make that first tackle. And
Great advice.
Yeah. So, sweet. And then we'll definitely be touching a bit more, I guess, when it gets into finals. I'm hoping, it's crunch time now. We have to beat Hamilton this weekend to go to secure our spot in the final. So that'll be and they are also they can still make it as well. So it'll be a good game this weekend down at the uni. So moving on, we've obviously got big news that the British and Irish Lions are coming to Australia in 2025, if I'm sure.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken. So it's obviously massive news. They're obviously doing their weekly games. There's an Anzac test, so British and Irish Lions versus an Aussie/New Zealand mixed team, which that'll be interesting to see. I'm wondering if they're going to use test players or maybe guys from just the franchises. That'll be interesting because imagine like Bowden Barrett playing with.
I don't remember
Wade Cooper.
Last time they came to Australia, they played against a country team and they had some of the boys. I think it was Louis Cat. I don't know if you remember Louis Cat. He was playing 12, I think, or 13 for Wanderers. I went to McDonald Jones Stadium and it was him against Brian O'Driscoll. And it was just unreal.
I heard about that.
VAR was close to selection as well. Great experience from in front of a packed crowd, in front of international players. So I'm hoping they don't just pick, they pick some local talent as well for that game. That would be crazy.
That would be. But so in that, we've gone with a couple of British and Irish Lions moments. I mean, I can remember watching from when I think they played in Neil Jenkins back in the day, kicked how many penalty goals against South Africa. And then I remember watching like Jason Robinson kill it against Australia with the Summit ball still back in the day. So we're going to go with British and Irish Lions moments that kind of stood out for you.
Okay, look, mate, I did write 3 down. Okay. And as I was doing my little research, I've actually got 5 now. I'm going to cover them in a time that I would do 3, but I had to cover these, and I have to apologize in advance. A few of these involve South Africa.
That's fine. That's fine.
So, mate, the first one, if you're listening to this guy, there's a coach back in 1997 called Jim Telfer. Now, he made a speech to the forwards, the British and Irish Lions forwards, before a game. It was actually before the tour started. They were in South Africa. If you haven't heard it, it's one of the most inspirational speeches you'll hear. So just jump onto YouTube. It's Jim Telfer's speech on the South Africa tour in 1997. It's called The Honest Player. You need to listen to it. That's my first one. The second one is, for me, I was at this game, was Brian O'Driscoll. Now, this isn't a positive thing, but it was just a huge moment. Brian O'Driscoll being tackled by Tana Umang and Kevin Mialamu 90 seconds into the test match, dislocated his shoulder, spear tackled him directly onto his head. The guy dislocated his shoulder. He was out for 5 months. There was no discipline from any part of the world rugby in terms of what happened. It was just a huge moment because obviously that Lions tour was super strong.
Yep.
And to play against the All Blacks, one of, probably the biggest test. And for us, star player, Brian O'Driscoll at the time, probably the best player in the world, to be injured in that way was just awful, man. I remember being in the stands and having a bit of a heated discussion with a few Kiwi supporters over that. But that was a huge moment for me that I remember. Do you just want me to rattle these off, mate? The last three?
Yeah. Loving it.
Cool. The third one is a bit of a personal thing for me. It's a couple of friends of mine, Jack Noel and Luke Cowan Dickey. I'm not name dropping. It's just amazing to see two people that I played with and against debut in New Zealand playing for the British and Irish Lions. Like, for me, that is the pinnacle of being a rugby player in the UK. And to see two people that I know do that, and two Cornish lads as well, mate, that was so special. And they both had amazing tours as well. So shout out to those two boys as well. They've done an incredible job. Another one, mate. Fourth, there's only two left. I'll be quick. Jeremy Gusket's drop goal in 1997 against South Africa, mate.
Love it. Love it.
I forget where they were playing, but
I'm pretty sure it was Durban. Kings
it was
Park.
Durban.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, I remember as a kid, I'd get living with the Lions. It was a VCR at the time, and then the DVDs came out, but it just followed the team around, and I got goosebumps thinking about it. It's just a memory as a kid of, Jeremy Guskett hitting this drop goal. Couldn't kick. It wasn't a kicker, and he secured the series. And that, mate, that's lived with me forever. I don't know why, because I was so young. And then, mate, the last one, and I was looking at this morning on YouTube, was Sean O'Brien's try against the All Blacks in the last tour. It went Aaron Cruden kicked the ball, went to Anthony Watson on the wing. He hit Liam Williams inside. Liam Williams made this break, went to Jonathan Davies, and then he went out to Elliot Daly on the wing, who gave it back to Jonathan Davies, who got tackled about 5 meters out, and then just flicked it back inside to Sean O'Brien. Length of the field try, one of the best tries I've ever seen, and it being for the British and Irish Lions just made it that little bit extra special. But mate, there was so many I could have written down. Those in particular, like from childhood memories up to a personal thing, and that try, I think they for me stand out for sure. There's something special about watching the British and Irish Lions play, 100%. Whenever it is.
100%. And I just wanted to say there as well, like the whole thing that goes around with the British and Irish Lions, whoever thought of it to start it, it's one of the best things. The army that comes with it. They, no matter where they go, there's tons of fans that go with them, and it just unites the United Kingdom, where usually they hate each other when they play rugby against each other, and how it connects those players. And I
remember being in New Zealand. I was on rugby tour. We played a few curtain raisers actually for the British and Irish Lions games, and I just remember, I guess it was New Zealand. They have this, it's everything to them rugby, but the whole of New Zealand when we were there, no matter where we went, it was just All Blacks and British and Irish Lions. There were people walking around with jerseys on. The pubs were all, not painted, but they had flags up, and it was just an absolute vibe. And I don't think, apart from a World Cup, outside of that, you could probably ever replicate that atmosphere or that feel in the air when it comes to rugby. I think we were extremely lucky it was in New Zealand where we went, but my God, mate, it's just got, if you're listening to this podcast and you can get tickets to a Lions game when they come to Australia, please do it. Even if you hate the British, please go and get a ticket, because it's just got an atmosphere about it like no other. It's incredible to be a part of.
I think there's 2 games in Sydney's and New South Wales. So obviously against the Waratahs and then against the Wallabies. So we'll hopefully we're big enough by then, and we'll get a whole gang together and go.
Get free tickets, mate. We might even get free tickets.
Yeah. We'll tag the Wallabies. All right. So I've also written down mine, and I'm going to keep mine, obviously, because we're both fly-offs and we like to think that we know everything about the number 10 jersey. So mine's going to be a shout out to number 10. So again, like you said, there's tons of memories you can write down, but I'm going to start. So I'm going to start, obviously, being a Springbok and watching the Springboks from, I can't even remember when, 2009 series, Mornay Steyn from 50 meters out in the last test to seal it, kicks the goal to win it. but then repeats history and does it again in the 2021. Like that's just longevity that
dreams are
guy's
made.
had in rugby, and that's creepy. I've written down here. I wrote down like alien stuff, history repeating itself, because that's like, what's the chances you do that in 2009 and then 11 or 12 years later you do it again? Unfortunately, in the 2021 series, it was COVID and there was no fans at the ground, but it makes it a little bit less special because you obviously want to hear the roar of the crowd, but it's still
special,
massive.
Man. Yeah, crazy.
Then I'm going to go on to the 2005 series in New Zealand, where this was marked the best game by a player ever in all of rugby ever. Dan Carter putting on an absolute clinic, 33 points in a game. That, in my mind, is him grubbering down the touchline and getting around. He either beats Johnny Wilkinson or he gets around him to score it right down the edge. And then there was one play as well, and this is where I think he either bumped Johnny Wilkinson off or he handed him off, and Johnny Wilkinson done his shoulder. And that, because I would always just watch the fly-offs, and that was, man, I was so happy because Dan Carter did well, and then I was crying at the same time because then Johnny Wilkinson went off.
And it was always that debate, Carter or Wilkinson. You know what I mean? And for them to play in the prime of their careers against each other in that sort of arena as well. Mate, that's gold.
On that day, that was Dan Carter. 33 points in a game at Wellington. Yeah, and it was touted by most of the best pundits and best rugby players all around the world that this was the greatest performance by any player ever.
Look, it pains me to say it, but that Wilkinson Carter debate, I'm going Carter for Wilkinson, one of my idols growing up, but Carter's just got something special about him, man. I can't even explain what it is, but I mean, it's tight, but it's Carter for me, and that, I remember that. Now you said it, I remember it. So yeah, that was a special game.
Then last one, and this is British and Irish Lions playing against the New South Wales Waratahs in the 2001 series, where Ronan O'Gara got absolutely. He got so it was Duncan McRae. Yep. Gave him 10 of the best just on the offset. Like the game was going that way, and 10 of the best through, up, under, everywhere. And Ronan O'Gara stood up with the biggest eye. I think 2 black eyes. It was great. That was.
I remember, if Dana White was watching that, mate, sign him up to UFC. I remember he literally had him pinned on the floor, and he had this little hole where he could just fit his fist, and he just connected everything. And I remember Ronan O'Gara, guys, if you haven't seen it, YouTube it. Ronan O'Gara's eye instantly, like it wasn't 20 minutes after, instantly was just. It was crazy. I felt sick in the stomach. I remember watching that as well.
I'll definitely clip that up and put it on. The best for me was when he was getting his red card, Duncan McRae, he was like, "What do you mean? Like what?" And he just plowed all that. It's like, we're not playing boxing, it's rugby.
I can elaborate on that bit. I remember when Duncan McRae was playing for Gloucester, and he played against Ronan O'Gara, who I think was playing for Leinster. And the first time they met after that was at Kingsholm in Gloucester. And I remember watching it on TV going, this is just going to erupt again, because they hadn't played against each other since. And then it didn't. But it was just like that anticipation of, is this going to go again? But it didn't in the end. But yeah, I remember that. That was crazy. That was a real big moment for sure. Wow.
So that was my, like I said, there's so many, man. There's George North carrying Izzy Folau in the 2003 one. There's one of the best prank calls ever. Simon Zebo having to call Rob Penny to ask if he could be the captain for Munster. That was all
it's
time
on my sheet.
well.
It was on my sheet. I just couldn't squeeze it in, mate. I couldn't.
Yeah, it was great. Right. So we're moving on quickly, and we've only got a short bit of time left because we've all got lots of things to do. And we've only got one team sheet to really play on. Only the Springboks are the only ones that are good to the content cartel out, that want to get people to talk about them. Where the other I really feel like the international teams can do better with that. NRL have got team list Tuesdays, so that because guys want to be talking about it, and it gets people out talking about it. Like who's in, who's out. So Dwayne Vermeulen comes in as captain. That's big. I mean, the Springboks have picked a big pack again, and I think they're going back to what worked for them in the Australia game. And that's what they're going to need versus the Argentinians, I feel like. And they've gone with Marnie Labork at 10. And then I'm loving Kurt Lee and Cheslin on the wings as well. So that'll be interesting.
I was just looking at the team, and obviously Vermeulen coming in as captain, obviously a huge, physically a huge guy, leads from the front, skillful. I think that was needed, to be honest. I think for me, I would, if he was my captain, you'd step up. No disrespect to any other captain, but he just has that element of just beast about him. And with, Etzebeth and all those sort of players, I think this week, if they take Argentina for granted, they could see themselves in a little bit of trouble. If these players play to their capability, I think they'll be absolutely fine. I really do. But yeah, I see that Faf on the bench. You look at that the guy who's come in for him. I forget his name.
Yeah, Grant Williams. So it's his first
Williams,
test start.
Yes, three caps. Faf has got 47. A big call. Again, we touched on this last week. Are they taking Argentina a bit lightly? I hope not. I don't think so. They're both great players, but you look at the experience there from Faf to Grant Williams. I think it's going to be a great game. I really do. I was looking at the team sheet, and I love it, to be honest. I think it's there's a few decent changes there, and it'll be interesting to see how they all sort of bond together in that game.
Absolutely. I think there's been lots of chat around getting Malcolm Marx more game time, and he's starting now. So I think that could be. I think he's going to have a massive game, and they're going to see, okay, well, we can't just leave him on the bench and bring him on as part of the bomb squad. He needs to be playing as many minutes as possible.
He's a great impact player. He's probably the best impact player in world rugby, but also get him to play 50, 60, 65 minutes, and the damage he can do in those minutes is I mean, if he damages like that at the end of the game, he's going to be just as good at the beginning of the game. So again, Malcolm Marx, you look at the physical size of this Springboks pack is scary.
Yeah. Another milestone for Eben Etzebeth. He'll become the 4th most capped Springbok. I mean, to think he's only a year older than me, he can still play for another 3-4 years.
4 years, yeah.
Easy. So that'll be awesome to see if he becomes one of the out and out most capped Springbok. Then, again, like I said, Grant Williams is his first test start. Jesse Creel's his first start for a while, like in the series in the Rugby Championship. So that'll be interesting to see how him and the Allender work together, because they're known to not be ones to pass the ball a lot. Damien didn't have his best. He'll be the first one to put his hand up and say he didn't have his best game last week. So hopefully they work more around distributing. Obviously, the front foot ball is very important. But, man, if you've got Cheslin Colby and Curtly Orense out the back, you want to be those guys.
I worked it out, that centre partnership, mate. 130 caps between them. They might not be throwing the ball around, these two, but that experience that they've got together, and like you said, I think it's Creel's first game in a while.
Yeah, in a long time. Yeah,
in a long time. So that'll be interesting. He might have a few cobwebs there that might get to him, but I think that experience, 130 caps between them against quite a fresh Argentinian team, I think that will probably, again, that huge pack, that experience, the two wingers, LaRue, I think they're going to be too good, mate. I don't want to speak too soon, but I think they'll be too good on the weekend.
Prediction there before moving on to the Aussie Wallaby All Blacks game?
Mate, I'm gonna go South Africa, 34 points to 12.
Nice. I was gonna go South Africa by 10.
I think it's gonna be dominant. I really do. I think it will be dominant. I think Argentina might be too confident, maybe, and I think South Africa will really put their foot down.
Yeah, I love that. We'll I'll go Springboks by 10. Moving on, again, like we said, there's no team lists out. They'll probably come out as soon as we've put this episode. Australia obviously looking to bounce back. They haven't scored. I mean, they haven't really put their foot down this year, made their mark necessarily. Eddie Jones has come out with great chat again, saying that the Rugby Championship is a glorified preseason for him. I said, their form on the field just needs to level his chat. Then the Aussies will be world beaters. There will definitely be a change at 15 because Wright has been left out of the squad. There'll be a change in the centres because Ikitau is injured.
That's right.
So we can look at, I think Andrew Kellaway might come in at fullback. They said there was a lot of, I saw on Twitter again, there's a lot of talk around Isaiah Parisi that he was doing a lot of kicking and a lot of catching high balls. So that, I don't know, they might look at him on the bench because he can cover center and wing and fullback.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting, man. We don't know. Like we said, we don't have teams.
I was looking at this game, mate, and I was looking at a few of the stats. And from the last game against Argentina, the Wallabies were made to make 200 tackles, right, against the Argentinians 80. Now, with the utmost respect to Argentina, you're not playing. The Wallabies aren't playing Argentina this week. They're playing the All Blacks. Now, if Argentina have made the Wallabies make 200 tackles, if the Wallabies aren't on this weekend, that could be a scary stat at the end of the game. So, you know, Edwin's set the bar pretty high for himself and the team. We touched on this last week. I'm all for, you know, mind games, but my biggest thing is back it up. And I'm sure the players are sitting back going, Eddie, why? You know what I mean? But they've got a job to do. They'll go out and do that to the best of their ability. I hope. I like seeing teams do well. I don't like to see massive scores and teams go bad. I want to see these best players in the world play to their full capability. So for me, I want the Wallabies to do well. They just need to step it up big time, man. Else it's going to be it could be embarrassing. The likes of Nick White, you know, Skelton, people like that, they have to step up this week, man. They really do. Else it could be one to remember for the wrong reasons for them.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, Bledisloe's never failed to impress or disappoint. Each way you want to see it. So it'll definitely be a game. It'll be interesting to see how the All Blacks approach it, in the sense of, will they make some changes? Will they keep their team? What kind of game plan are they going to go for? Because I feel like last week, or when they played the Springboks, like I said, they out Springbok the Springboks. So they can't really out Aussie the Wallabies, because the Wallabies haven't really done much this rugby. Sorry guys, a little breakdown in comms there, but like I was saying, Mike, it'll be interesting, to see how the All Blacks come out with this game. They're obviously going to come out firing. We know that. Firstly, it'll be interesting to see selection wise how they go about that, and then what style of game they're going to play.
Yeah, like I said about those players having a big game for the Wallabies, they need to be shutting down Mo'unga. They need to be shutting down all the Barretts. Like it's as simple as that. Will Jordan, I don't know. It's going to be a tough ask, but they're catching some of these players in the form of their life, and it's going to be a really good game. Like I said, I hope the Wallabies can step up, and I hope it's a good spectacle to watch as well. But yeah, the Wallabies, those key players, the Whites, you know, the Skeltons and players like that, they need to be at the top of their game this weekend for sure.
I think they can definitely use someone like Skelton a bit more. I feel like he's a massive unit.
Huge,
What I've seen from what he's been doing at La Rochelle, they've gone back to back with Heineken Cup champions. You're not doing that if your big ball runners aren't doing anything through the middle of the field. And I don't feel like the Wallabies are utilizing him as they should.
Mate, you can imagine what Cooper's going to be like on the back of some massive runs from people like Skelton. Like, give him a bit of extra time. That's what Cooper needs. I feel like Cooper isn't half the player he can be when he's on the back foot. So if Skelton can really make some meters and get them on the front foot, quick play the ball, I think Cooper can be deadly. But like I said, you just need to shut down these key players. I'm yet to see a team really shut down these players and really test the All Blacks to the point where you're like, wow, the All Blacks are in trouble. So we'll see what happens. I'm sure Eddie's got his tactics up his sleeve, and I'm intrigued to see what they are.
I hope so, man. But like you say, Bledisloe game never fails to disappoint. At MCG, I think it's nearly sold out or almost sold out. I do have a little thing about playing games at a cricket ground. The supporters are so far away. Like, I don't know. I don't know. Again, who am I? I've never played at a cricket ground.
Crowd attendance, it's worth it. I mean, I think you can fit 95,000, I think, maybe into the MCG. You know, the fact that it's nearly sold out, that's going to create an incredible atmosphere. But yeah, in terms of being a kicker, playing on an oval field and getting your bearings right where your sidelines are, I sort of used to use, you know, a straight sideline as a bit of a guide. But yeah, I mean, I remember the Lions played. I think the Lions played at the SCG in Sydney, which was the same sort of thing. And a few players came out and said, you know, you don't really do that in the UK. And a few of the Lions players came out and were just like, wow, this is a bit different. But you know, there's no excuses. It's the same for everyone. So it should be a good game. Like I said, 95,000 people, Bledisloe Cup. Wow, like it doesn't get much better than that.
Absolutely. Predictions on that one?
Mate, I'm going to go wild again. I really am. Again, I hope I actually hope I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
I'm going to go All Blacks. Let me think about this. I'm going to go All Blacks 38, Wallabies 10.
Okay. It's a big, nice score.
It's erratic, but I hope, yeah, I just my gut's telling me.
And I love that. When you say your gut's telling you, do you like rub your gut like that? Like someone would rub a crystal ball?
Like a little Buddha.
Yeah.
No,
That's gonna be
mate,
your Mike the Buddha now.
I thought I was pretty good with my gut. I took my eldest daughter to watch the Knights play the Storm on the weekend. I said the Storm are going to put 40 on the Knights, and the Knights won. So I might be eating my words this time next week, but we'll see. I hope it's a good game.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna go All Blacks by 10 as well. I think the Wallabies are gonna actually. I mean, I'm saying that with me predicting them losing, but I feel like if the Wallabies only lose by 10, they've almost won that game.
Won the game, yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be a good. And I, like you say, I also want the Wallabies to do well. I do want them to do well.
Either way, win or lose for the Wallabies, I'm interested to see Eddie Jones's post-match interview. It's going to be interesting. I swear he must plan all this stuff out. Like we touched on it last week, but is it a media stunt? I don't know. But he has to back this up. Win or lose or draw, he's going to have to come out and back up what he said. So good luck, Eddie.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, well, that wraps it up for this week.
Amazing.
Obviously, we'll be back next week with a bit of a review, obviously, of the games that have gone over the weekend. Again, guys, thanks so much for everyone, all their feedback, all your shares, your likes, your subscribes. Obviously, if you're listening on Spotify, hit the subscribe. If you enjoy the pod, please share it on Instagram and wherever you share your social media. Tag us.
I think also if any of you see it on Instagram or any of our pages, and you've got some feedback or things you want us to I guess improve, but like add to the podcast as well, things that you enjoy, we're open ears, man. Just send it in and we can have a look at it for sure.
Absolutely. And send in your play-ons or knock-ons for the week as well.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's so Mike's not under too much pressure next week.
You set the bar high, mate. I told you that.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.